Hello. So it's another day, another dollar. I'm walking to go and see my dad again, like I did on the other video maybe it was last week, I think. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about strategy on your low content and no content books, because one of the questions I always get asked is, how long does it take before I start seeing sales on my books? Now, I think one of the things that should be pointed out is that, if you've got a good book that people want, it's gonna sell, isn't it? But then you need to do things like, get good keywords and a good description, A+ content and all that good stuff. And I've got some sort of videos on those. But my own personal experience is that if you have made, I would say 10 books, then the likelihood is that maybe one or two of those books would start to sell, and the other 8 or 9 may not. And that's just generally because of the competition that there is out there. Not that they're not good books. Look at this car. That's an old car. Yeah. Nice. Anyway, so my neighbours are funny. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that the point is, you can't just make one book and think to yourself, where am I going? You can't just make one book and think, well, that's going to, make me a fortune. It could do. You could, it could be, you could have found a really great niche before anybody else, and then, straight away did start doing sales straight away. Hi there, you alright? But most times that might not be the case. You might be learning or whatever. And the point that I'm trying to make is that you need to make more than one book to start to be successful at Amazon KDP. And myself and I, I've got hundreds of books, and out of those hundreds of books, I would say probably I've got maybe 25 or so that sell really well. So, if you do the maths, it's kind of like 1 or 2 out of 10, should I say. And, if you put a lot of effort into your books and make a really good product, they are going to sell, and if you do the marketing, they will sell. But what I'm saying is, don't make one and then, because you haven't made any sales in 2 weeks, think, right, it's not working, none of this is working. You've got to put a bit of more time into it and stuff like that. Okay, now the other thing I was going to say was, how long do you leave it before you kind of, I wouldn't say give up on a book, but where you think, right, I've done enough marketing on that now, it doesn't seem to have taken off. When do you sort of say, right, okay, I'll just leave it and move on to the next thing? Well, the way that I do it is I create a book. I find a niche. Yeah, I find a niche that I think I could capitalize in this niche. I create the book. I create the cover. And then I make sure I get the best possible metadata. And when I mean that, I mean the A+ content, keywords, categories. I also add extra categories afterwards, like I did in a previous video, a few videos back. And I'll put that on, and I'll try to place it at the kind of the top end of the niche in terms of pricing. So the $7.99, $8.99 kind of price range. And the reason why I do that is because the books that I make are usually around 100, 120 pages, okay? So that means that I get kind of $2.50 or maybe a little bit more, depending on the amount of numbers and this, etc., etc. And what I tend to do is, once it's live and I've made the A+ content, depending on which pen name and brand name I'm going with, I'll put it through the socials. Yeah, I have a couple of email lists which I'll put it through, and then if it starts to sell, and only if it starts to sell, I'll then start to run some Amazon ads on it. And what I'll do is, usually, depending on how good I think the book is, I'll put in XYZ amount in a bulker in terms of ads. Yeah, so that could be $20, yeah, to spend on it, to invest in that book. Or if I think it's really good and it's sold quite a lot already through the email lists and the social media, then what I'll do is I'll put on, you know, maybe $50 or $100 into ads. And what am I doing? Why am I doing that? I'm doing that to get sales, but it's so that the book starts to rank for the keywords that I want it to rank for, the keywords that I've found in my niche research. And once a book is ranking, yeah, it then starts to have legs of its own, and you don't need to run ads pretty much. So that's why I kind of, rather than run ads continuously, I'll give it kind of like a spell of, you know, like a week or 2 weeks, and give it a budget. Apologise if you can hear a dog. Once the book is ranking, then you can take the ads off, and hopefully the book will then, you know, walk on its own rather than having to be held or with the stabilizers. I've just thought, what in America, when you're teaching a kid to ride a bike, what are the things on the side, you know, called? We call them stabilizers in England, but anyway, that's something separate. So hopefully the book will then take off, okay? But at what point do you think this book isn't taking off? It's just not going to work, okay? Well, it's before I put the ads on. So if I haven't had much reaction from my other marketing activities, and just the keywords, the virtue of the keywords that I've assigned to the book, and it's had about a month and it hasn't done any sales, what I tend to do is I tend to think, right, well, that's not going to sell. So what I'll do, maybe because in that particular niche it's maybe a bit too expensive, so what I'll do is I put that down to usually $4.99 or $5.99, and that might be a bit different coming up when they change their print costs in terms of how much you can get back. But my mentality is, if it sells in the future, then at least I make a bit of a royalty. Yeah. But what I do is I kind of, at that point, think that book's done. I don't bother with it anymore. Okay. So what I'm trying to do there is give birth to a book, and hopefully give it the best possible shot to start selling. And if it doesn't, abandon it. Gone. And reduce the price, so that if potentially you could, that might be the thing which is holding people back from buying it, is because all the other competitors have got their books for $5.99 or whatever. Okay. So if you dropped it down to $4.99 or $5.99, then it might start selling, and then at least you get a bit of royalty. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. So that was the little discussion that I was having, and the chap who has been speaking to me about this, that's the answer. But I thought I'd share it with everybody. So there we go. So, doing a few more videos, got a few more videos planned for next week. So stay around for that. And until next time, bye.